3, 2, 1, and we're live. Deborah,
We're here.
wow,
Hi.
thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Why don't you introduce yourself to the show and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Without calling yourself our sister.
Yeah, don't mention that.
Yeah,
Right.
we wanted it to be a surprise.
I've never met these guys before in my life. My name is Deborah. I'm 23.
Dang, she's old.
Technically an adult, but I still feel like a child, so there's that. Yeah, I work in kind of a construction industry, I guess.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's a confusing
And you
job.
run a YouTube channel now.
I do.
Tell us about that.
So I started it at the beginning of this year. I think in the beginning of February about.
Okay.
And my goal was to get up to 120 subscribers in the first year, so it's like 10 a month.
Okay.
By the way, my channel is video games, mostly Minecraft. And so far, I'm at about 350 subscribers.
How many months?
About 7 now.
Wow.
You blew past it.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Thank you.
What do you think is contributing to your growth?
Obviously, my skills. No, I'm just kidding.
These 6 skills?
These pro gamer skills. No, I'm an average gamer. So, I think a lot of it is due to like the YouTube Shorts platform, because I would say at least 50%, if not more, of my subscribers have come directly from when I post shorts. So, yeah, it's...
Wow.
Posting videos is good for, like, your existing, community, but it's not going to get you a lot of new views.
What kind of content do you like to put on, like, short reels?
It's taken me a while to figure out what to even put on shorts for video games, because there's different types of video games. Like if you're playing like an FPS game, obviously that's pretty easy to put clips on and stuff, but something like Minecraft, it's like, what do you put on for less than a minute? So mostly I go for like educational stuff, and people like that because there's so much to the game that the average player doesn't know.
So you're like teaching people stuff that's normally pretty hard to do?
Nope. Easy stuff. Easy stuff.
Yeah,
like
so
here's
new
how you make
players.
this potion. Here's how to make this type of farm and stuff. And like a lot of the like videos I do on farms is I'll take like the basic mechanics and I'll pretty much say like do a small tutorial like this is how you do this, and it's very simple because it's easy to understand, and then you can like expand it on your own.
Have you ever seen those YouTube shorts of the Minecraft videos where they're doing like a Reddit comment section recap, but the video is like Minecraft jumping around like through this really hard course?
Yeah.
Have you ever thought of making that?
So I have, because they're very catchy and very popular, but it's also like super off-brand for my channel.
Yeah.
So that's unfortunately
Wait,
something to
so
try
what
to
is
keep in mind. You know how they have like the Reddit videos where they're like reading off like people have Reddit, doctors have Reddit,
yeah.
and they read off all the like comments and stuff. Well, they've now made it where they are like in a Minecraft game while reading them, but they're like parkouring in the Minecraft
Like
game.
they splice the video, they show...
Yeah, it's like a split screen.
Oh, okay.
So
I
you
have
have
seen those. Those are
something to
weird.
hear and something to watch.
Pull this mic up about a fist away from your mouth. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen those. I have to watch them when I see them.
Yeah. Any Reddit post I have to watch.
Yeah.
I can't
They always
turn
have really
away.
edgy music in the background, and there's like the same 6 or 7 probably non-copyrighted music that's like really catchy, and then it plays over like these sinister Reddit comments asking
Yeah.
me things.
Yep. And it's always like the juiciest topics too. Like
Yeah.
But then also, if you've noticed, the responses, they'll always be like, doctors of Reddit. And then the first response is like, I'm not a doctor, but my cousin's dad's friend was a doctor. Like, every time they're like, I'm not what you're looking for,
Yeah, I don't
but
think
here's
doctors
a story.
hang out on Reddit.
Well, not most of them.
Maybe just
Yeah.
college people, like, who are, like, med school, like...
Probably.
No, I mean, doctors, they'd be too tired or
Like, how do you work this?
not interested.
Yeah.
I don't know why I made them all old, but that's...
Right.
Yeah.
Young doctors don't exist.
No, even the smart, tech-savvy doctors are probably... They're too busy or tired or...
Yeah.
You know, by the time they're a doctor,
They're not
in
scrolling
their
Reddit
30s.
looking for questions to answer.
Right.
The time they could have been in scrolling Reddit is when they're in med school, and
And hardly
you don't
even
have
at
much
night.
time.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Now they're just, spending their $250 a minute salary.
But yeah, all those famous comments, they always revert back to like I'm not who you're looking for, but I have an opinion, and it's like the number one upvoted comment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're usually pretty.
Do you get
decent
comments on
ones.
your videos?
Yeah, I do. I don't think I've experienced much negativity, honestly, since starting my channel. It's actually all been very positive. There's one video that I've had negative comments on, and I knew this would happen, okay? So, if you guys are familiar with Minecraft, they have like a default character, man and woman.
Mm-hmm.
Their names are Steve and Alex.
Yeah.
So I think the default male character, Steve, is super horrible. Very outdated, super ugly. I hate it. So I'm like, oh, you know what would be cool is if I was just like, I gave Steve an upgrade, and I go through and like edit the skin and make him look better. Well, I did that and completely looked like a different person. It wasn't Steve anymore.
Yeah.
And I posted this video, and it was a short. It got like 10,000 views, and there was like 30 comments, and everyone's like, that's not Steve, that's like Josh now, and all this stuff. And there was like a few people that
It's
were
Kyle.
like, this looks like crap, and all this stuff. But yeah, so that was the only thing I've ever gotten negative comments on. But I was cool with it. I was like, yeah, you're right. It don't look like Steve. But,
That's kind of the point.
Did you get
Yeah.
subs after that?
oh yeah, I literally, I got 100 subs in one day. And I was so confused because my brain looked at it and I thought I had only gained like 3 subs because I was at like 250 and then it was like 350 something, and I was like, oh, it was only a couple. I'm like, I got 10,000 views and only a couple subs. Like, that's kind of surprising. But I was like, whatever, like it is what it is. And then I went back later and looked and I was like, that was 103 or whatever. And it was just crazy. I was like, holy cow, I've never,
Well,
yeah.
that's 50% growth in a day.
Yeah.
See, so that kind of, I don't know, subscribing on YouTube, like, evades me. I've never, like, I subscribe to, like, 6 channels.
Mm-hmm.
And when they, like, when I get the notifications, I literally unsubscribe. I'm like, stop, I don't want your notifications.
Yeah.
Like, for example, if I want to watch something from Joe Rogan, I just type in Joe Rogan.
Right.
I don't understand the subscriber thing.
There's very few channels that I subscribe to, and it's, like, specifically related to, like, Minecraft stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because I, like, always enjoy their content and
Yeah.
always want to know when they post a new video. But, like, I am very, very picky about who I subscribe to. And it feels bad because sometimes it's like, oh, I want to, like, support this channel and subscribe, but I don't want to keep getting notified every time they post stuff, you know? So, but I do think there's a lot of people that will subscribe to my channel, and then I post something and they're like, ugh, and they unsubscribe. That happens all the time because my subscriber count is constantly, like, going up and down within probably, like, 10 or so. Just constantly. It's changing.
I don't know that it affects your view. I'm probably wrong, but I just don't know that it affects your views that much. Like, the channels I should be subscribed to, they constantly come up in my recommended.
Yeah.
For a fact. Like,
Yeah.
I watch, like, the same 15
The only reason why
channels.
subs are valuable is because you hope that it influences a consistent view.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Yeah.
there's still the algorithm, which is like you're soft subscribed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
So, like, for me, I, for the first time ever, turned on notifications for a channel. And I'll turn them off after a certain set of time has passed, but it's for chess tournaments. There's a guy that I watch. I don't watch anyone else's recaps, but his. And I turned it on because I want to know exactly when it happens. And so he's really fast. Like, a tournament will end, he'll have a video in 30 minutes.
Right.
So, turned on the bell for the first time on YouTube. When this tournament's over, I'm going to turn it off. because then, and I'm still subbed to him. I don't mind being subbed. I don't get notified when he posts a video, but it'll show up in my news feed. But what's funny is the last time there was a major tournament was the World Chess Championship, and his stuff was showing up in my feed like every day, and then like my algorithm started shifting as I changed what I was watching, and he stopped showing up. And then I realized there was another tournament going on. I was like scrolling through my timeline for a long time, hoping to see something from him, and I could not find it. So I had to like look him up through YouTube again, click his name, and then now he's showing back up again in my feed. And I was like, okay, I don't want to miss that again. So I turn on the bell. But yeah, it's really interesting. I think a lot of people are very picky about who they subscribe to. With YouTube having like 1 billion people on the platform, and the largest platforms the largest channels on the platform have like 20 30 million subs. You don't need much.
Right.
It's really that's 2% of the population on YouTube, and to make an income you need hundreds of thousands. Which is not hard to imagine that there's 100,000 people like me who are subbing to this one guy. This guy has 1.3 million, but all he does is do chess recaps. It's insane.
Yeah, I think another thing too is like, for instance, like I do, Minecraft and video games and stuff, and that's kind of more of like a hobby-based channel.
Right.
So I don't know how it is for other people, but for me at least, like I'll be interested in one thing for a couple weeks, and then I'll just get uninterested, and then I'm interested in something else. So like I've gone through like so many different like periods on YouTube of like different games, different hobbies, like watching lockpicking videos, like all kinds of stuff. Yeah, and then
like real life lockpicking.
Yeah. Well, not like
No,
not
it's
like
a lockpicking lawyer.
What does that mean?
you can lockpick without being a criminal.
Totally.
He's not cultured. Lockpicking lawyer is just a channel
I
of a
literally
guy.
saw it the other day and I was like, I'm not watching this.
He breaks locks that manufacturers have said are unpickable.
Oh, okay.
He picks them.
Wow.
And sometimes he does it in like seconds.
Really?
He's really good.
That's
And he's
sick.
really, really popular.
He's like the designer.
He gets manufacturers who send them their locks now and go, try this one out, you won't get it.
Yeah.
And he knows he's going to get it.
Yeah.
But whoever is like leading that is genius, because now they're getting their lock on his channel, and he's like,
yeah.
it's still a great lock, I'd recommend it.
Right. Because this one took me 7 seconds, I would definitely
Yeah,
recommend it.
it's hilarious.
Yeah.
You said part of your channel, like experience in building this YouTube channel, was you were working with other creators.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get started with something like that?
So interestingly enough, so in the Minecraft community, playing on a server or an SMP, survival multiplayer server, that's really the sweet
Nerd.
spot.
Sorry.
That's really what people want. They want to see interactions and having fun, not just playing the game, but also interacting with friends as well. So playing on a server is really like the goal. So after I made my channel, that was something I wanted, but a lot of times servers don't want people coming to them. It's more of like an invite thing, like the Cool Kids Club. So I was just kind of just waiting, and I actually had somebody reach out to me and say like, hey, we have this server, would you be
How'd they
interested
reach
in
out to you?
joining? They emailed me. I have an email on my YouTube page.
Okay, so they saw your video,
Mm-hmm.
and they reached out to you.
Yes. And they were like, hey, would you be interested in joining? And like we sent a couple emails back and forth, and then they were like, so do you want to join or not? And I was like, okay, I guess. And I was like kind of nervous because I'm like, I don't know these people. I've like kind of skimmed through a couple of their videos, but yeah. And then I just got on the server and was like, hi, and met these people, and that's just kind of how it happened.
Did they have requirements to stay on the server, or like what was the purpose of the server?
There wasn't any requirements or anything. I think the whole purpose was just to like just play together and have fun, and we were all content creators. There was one person who wasn't, but all of the rest of us were. There was a couple who streamed on Twitch, and then a couple who did YouTube and or streaming. So yeah, it was kind of just trying to grow our channels and have fun at the same time. The one thing I will say though is everybody had different levels of motivation.
Okay.
So some people didn't care so much about, you know, the like being a content creator. They were just like, whatever, I'm just making videos of what I'm doing. And then there was other people that were like so far into the deep end of the YouTube algorithm and, you know, Pythagorean theorem. Like it was just you know, so there was so many different levels of that I think that was really a big problem. So
How many people were in the server?
there was 10.
Wow.
I recently left probably like maybe 2 months ago, a month or two ago.
Okay.
And then someone else just recently left.
How long were you in?
Probably about 4 months, 5 months.
Okay. And was it beneficial?
Yes, I would say so. I think for a lot of ways. I mean, one, it was just really nice to have a community, you know, that's doing the same thing you're doing, and I think I learned a lot of stuff, and also having other people there made me feel a little bit more competitive, and
Really?
I think, yeah, not in like a negative way, but just in a way of like, I want to make sure that like I fit in, that I'm not like, you know, the weak link in the chain, and I think that being a part of that really pushed me, and I grew so much like in my skills in the game of Minecraft, like building. I think everything I did while I was on that server was stuff that I probably never would have thought I could do.
Do you have any examples?
Yeah, I mean, just everything, I guess. I mean, I built this like pretty large like inn, kind of like medieval style, and I feel like it was pretty large, and it had a lot of details and all this stuff, and it took me a long time to cut, like a week or two of just like designing to come up with it. And obviously, if you're just playing by yourself, it's kind of hard to be motivated to do like bigger projects, you know?
Right.
Which is one of the biggest reasons that I wanted to make a YouTube channel, is because I was like, I want to do these big projects, but I have no reason to.
No purpose.
For myself, right. So if I like have people that I share my videos with, that gives me a reason to like do these bigger projects. As weird as that sounds.
Can you give me an idea for scale? Like, I'm familiar with the block size in Minecraft. How big is this hotel, this inn?
Maybe like.
How many blocks, back?
Yeah, I'm thinking like maybe like 80 blocks long.
Okay.
Yeah, possibly.
There's this author of a book series that I read. Christopher Paolini is the author of the Aragon series, or the Inheritance Cycle is the proper name. You're familiar? Are you familiar with that?
No.
Okay, it's the books with the dragons on the front that are colorful. There's like a blue book and stuff like that. Anyway, he is a Minecraft nerd. And
You would.
I'm going to have to share with you like a video of his that he's put on his Twitter. He has recreated, like, he has built a massive, I mean, like, maybe the largest construction of anything I've ever seen in a Minecraft setting, besides like a group of modders like going in and doing what they're doing. It's literally got to be a few thousand blocks deep, and it goes into the ground, it goes into the air. It's like huge, and it all has a purpose. It's designed very well. But what was cool is in Minecraft, if you think of each block as a pixel, the bigger you go, you can get infinitely more detail. But it's like it compounds with the amount of work it takes too. So the less size you have, the less detail you need, and it looks worse, but the time is considerably less.
Yeah. definitely. Like, when you're, the more you scale up projects, if you're working on something that, you know, is extremely large, it's going to take you weeks. And then, you know, are you building it in creative or in survival? Because if you're building it in survival, like, some blocks are very hard to get a hold of, and they're a grind. Like, I just built something that I had to use beehives for in Minecraft because I was like, this is the perfect gradient of yellow. And it took me like 4 days in between work and sleep and stuff of just like growing trees next to flowers to get beehives. It's like a 20% chance.
So, like, how many hours a week are you putting in?
So many hours. Like,
because you got to play.
You have to play, and then you have to edit and make the thumbnails, which doesn't take too long. Yeah, and I don't even know. Like, I spend a majority of my weekends playing Minecraft, and then throughout the week, I try to put in as much time as possible, but sometimes I'm just, like, tired, and I'm like, I'm not playing
Then you have
today.
Shorts as well, which are
Yeah.
a science and an art. So
Yes.
within your videos, you're looking for that 15, 30-second clip of gold, comedic gold or something really cool.
Yeah. And I also play other games too, so I have a series right now going on for another game called Valheim. And
I almost bought that.
it's such a good game. It's really cool. And then for a while I was doing Phasmophobia, which is a ghost hunting game.
Did you ever make that short of me with voice mod?
I didn't make it, no.
Have you seen it?
I wasn't
Yeah.
sure if you would want me to put it up there, but it was
Yeah.
so funny.
If that thing flopped and got like 1 view, I wouldn't be surprised. But
So the thing about Phasmophobia on my channel is I've actually decided, like, I'm not going to be posting any more Phasmophobia videos because they always have flopped.
Really?
Like, my live streams do pretty well. Like, I'll get
they're
like
fun
30
to watch
views.
live.
Yeah. But the videos, they only get a couple views. And I'm like, you know, like trying so hard to make a compelling title, thumbnail, just not interested. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a tougher game to watch. Games like that are fun when the group or the person you're watching is animated.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not a cartoon, but just animated
Yeah.
as a person.
Character, yeah.
And, you know, like, even if it's a little forced of jump scare,
Mm-hmm.
I'm here for it.
Right, yeah. I think games like that, it's either the content you're going to want to watch is something that's very entertaining, you know, somebody that's very alive and usually playing with other people, so it's kind of like funny and stuff too, or something where you're learning how to play the game. I think
Yes.
those are like the two things that people would look for.
Yeah. So back to your question, you had asked her, like, how many hours a week are you investing into this channel?
Honestly, I don't know. I would probably say at least 20. Like, it's so much. It gets really exhausting sometimes. Like, there's been times where I've had to, like, force myself to take a break, but it's so addicting. Like, I'm always thinking about my channel constantly throughout the day, out, like, at work. You know, I'm always thinking, like, man, I need to, like, come up with some shorts. My subscribers have been so stagnant lately. I need to get it out there, you know?
So
or
you
like,
have something pulling you, which is you want growth.
Yeah, I guess, and it's not even. I mean, maybe it is growth. Maybe it is growth.
Is that sustainable?
What?
You know, being motivated, being pulled by wanting to grow.
I think so because I mean, unless I get every person in the world subscribed to my channel, there's really never an end to that
I mean,
goal.
is it sustainable? As in, can you keep that up? Can you continue to like doing this, knowing that what's the major driver, what's mostly pulling you is growth, or is there something else that motivates you to do this?
I mean, I think there's two aspects to it, I guess. There's growth in the form of, like, you know, the channel and stuff, but then there's also, like, enjoying what I'm doing, you know? So that plays a part in it too. And I haven't come really to a point where I'm not enjoying it. I mean, there's definitely been times where I've, like, pushed myself to do stuff that I wasn't really in the mood for, like, for content.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, never to the point where I was like, I'm not enjoying what I'm doing.
So you still love it.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really cool. I was going to ask you, like, what are you looking to get out of this?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, that's a great question. I think it would be really cool if one day, and I don't at all expect this to happen, but if one day, like, this could be what I do full time, I think that would be so cool. Because when I think about that, I'm like, think about all the hours that you could put into this if you were full time. It's like, and it's, I don't know, that's how I think. I'm like, I could do so much bigger projects. Like, I could, because now, like, if I would want to do a big project, I couldn't get a video out for like 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, if I was full time, I could get that video out in a week, But that's...
So she's struck on something really interesting. So, VP at my bank was talking to me about, he's like, Steven, for the rest of your career, there will be a labor shortage. I was like, what? How do you figure? And he goes, just because the way, he's like, there's more people retiring there's more people retiring than there are entering the workforce.
Okay.
And so apparently that's how the numbers work out. And I was like, oh, okay. And he goes, that just makes you really valuable. Then you start throwing in, I haven't listened to Gary Vee in like 5 years.
Yeah.
Somehow he like came on my like page the other day and I was like watching a video of his.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's still smart. Sometimes he just spews his Gary Vee
$200 million man.
Yeah, I mean, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
But the other day he was like saying like, these kids are like looking at these jobs going, 100K for 80 hours a week? Like, no, I'd rather just go make 50 on YouTube or TikTok or flipping stuff out of garages. And like, because they, and it's like, well, that's someone who's not entering the workforce.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, entrepreneur.
I mean, they're making money, which is good for the economy, but they're not entering the workforce, which is important because to some level, and I say that because like, I'll just do it in my industry, so I'm in mortgages. It's like, well, let's say you're making money with YouTube, like you still need a mortgage to some level probably, unless you're like Tim the Tap Man, you just buy houses cash or whatever. But
Right.
You still need a mortgage.
Yeah.
And so like, but there's not, there's inherently now less people
To be loan
processing.
officers. Yeah.
And being loan officers and like.
Right.
Or let's say you want to build a house and you can't because all the carpenters are like rich off TikTok on their
walking around the job sites
on their blue collar TikTok
my fans.
page. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And it's like it's just really interesting. And so, what we're seeing is like there's already a labor shortage. That's what it's being called. And then there's just less people. There's more people our age just leaving to go do something else.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It'll be really interesting to see what companies can scale and who's willing to fight for employees, because there's only one thing that employees want, and it's not a ping pong table, and it's not Hot Pockets and good food and pizza Fridays. Give me money.
Yeah.
Like that's what employees go to work for. So it'll be interesting to see, like, on top of that, you must have a good culture at work, but it's not food.
Right.
Which is, a lot of companies try to do that.
Taco Tuesdays.
Can't feed me anymore.
Yeah.
Feed myself.
Those are all just added benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like right now one of the worst a company has to be in the right position to be able to force people to come back to an office right now. And if you, prior to the pandemic, if you were in an office, that was a norm, and then you went fully remote for about 2 years, and now you're going forced to be back in an office, you have to be really careful doing that. Because people started moving to areas that were more affordable, knowing they were working from home. This is really like something that happens in big cities like LA, New York, Boston, Chicago, where suddenly people are like, hey, you got to come back on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And every company thinks they're unique in picking Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Right.
And what you see on Tuesdays and Thursdays is insane rush hour traffic.
Yep.
Which is normal prior to COVID, 5 days a week. You're still seeing some traffic, but you're seeing an extra like 15-20% traffic on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And so people on Tuesdays and Thursdays, my company is experiencing this, and from the get-go, we were like, you're coming into the office on Tuesdays and Thursdays. what happens is there's people who are like, oh, well, that 9 to 9:30 a.m. meeting, I'm dropping my kids off at daycare. Like, it's as early as I can get there. I have to leave at 4 to pick up my kid for a doctor's appointment today. So I can take him home to my husband, who will then take them, and I'll work the last 45 minutes from home. So we're losing efficiency because people are having to accommodate commuting time. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I've had times where, like, I have stuff to do in the morning. I'm like, I'll work late. But then I have meetings right after I get done. And I'm like, I come into the office at noon. And then I work from the office from 1 to 5 p.m. It's like, what's the point? I could have just... And for what? Culture?
Right.
Culture can be made over the internet. And here's proof. Every video game ever has a community of people.
Mm-hmm.
With a culture.
With strong culture. Some of the best friends I ever made were through online.
Mm-hmm.
Our lives today, we maintain friendships by texting each other and FaceTiming each other.
There's a plethora of companies who have been remote a decade before the pandemic, and they have strong culture. They have strong culture.
And I'm not even saying that in-office work is bad. I am saying that there's a fair bit of the talent pool you lose. So, Ariel, for example, is looking for a remote-only job. And that's because Freedom is making her go back to work in the office 2 days a week. Mm-hmm. And she's like an hour and 10 minutes away now because we literally moved away from that part of town because she was like, I don't think I'll ever go back to the office.
Yeah.
We bought a house thinking we wouldn't have to drive back to there. Mm-hmm. And so she's only looking at remote jobs. So everyone who's in Phoenix who could potentially have had her as an employee lost.
Right.
And everyone who's not in Phoenix who's like, let's go hybrid because we're trendy. You just lost every full-time remote employee. Mm-hmm. And so I think it hurts your talent pool. And there's pros. There's pros to having people come to the office a few days a week. You can't argue, like, having the ability to just drop by and chat with someone, you don't get that online. You have to go out of your way and message them. And then they might not reply for like 4 hours. Or they might reply right away. That happens. But like I run to the fridge real quick and grab a drink and I see a buddy and I'm like, hey, how you doing? How's your wife? How's your kids? You just don't get that online.
Yeah.
That's very
So
true.
I get that. That's
there's pros and cons.
I get that part of the culture. But that's not the company making it.
Totally.
Yeah.
But there are so many opportunities.
And I say that, and I work at the bank 5 days a week for the last 2 years, and I love it. I hate working from home because I enjoy talking to people.
Yeah, it's very valuable. How many projects do you think you could attribute to you getting thrown on because of your ability to connect with people in person?
Yeah, probably a majority of them, honestly.
So if you had been working from home, either you'd have been not thought of or skipped over?
Yeah, especially in banking, because it's so old school and it's thinking, but it's like you need to go rub elbows with decision makers and like department heads, and they actually do want to share information and talk, but those aren't guys you reach out to on IM because they think of IM as email, and emails are for business.
Yeah.
But it's not? The water cooler. Not that we have one, but that's what,
metaphorically.
And so that's where you get to know people.
There's so many things that happen too. Like, I'm curious of your response on this, but if you're in the office and you see 4 of 5 VPs going to an office meeting, you're thinking to yourself, why wasn't the 5th included? What's going on? Or you're thinking like, what is this important meeting suddenly? Mm-hmm. If we were all online, I'd have no idea they were meeting.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's a bad thing that they're going into a meeting room, but you're just like, I wonder what they're talking about. Because they're just steering the ship.
Yeah.
How do you think being fully remote has affected your ability to connect to people at work?
Honestly, I don't think there's been a huge disconnect. I feel like I've still been able to connect with my coworkers pretty well throughout being remote. So for instance, the company that I'm at now, we help each other a lot with stuff, and so a lot of times we'll say hey, can you jump on a video call? and then I'll end up chatting with them after we've solved the problem for like 10 minutes, just complaining about customers and stuff, whatever.
Do you
Things
think
like
it's
that.
affected your ability to connect with people physically? In person?
Outside of work?
Ever? Like any interaction you have with a person, do you feel like it's that quality has gone down?
Not really.
Are you saying like because she works remotely that she is there a correlation between the skills of connecting people with people physically is less practiced now?
Right. Yeah, because not only are you working virtually, but you're virtually
Her
connecting
side
with
gig
people
is
20 hours a
YouTube.
week,
Yeah.
and then you're sleeping.
Honestly, I don't really think so. I feel like I still socialize enough to not feel like it's a lost art. Like
She's big on the metaverse. She's a celebrity.
So that was something that Zuckerberg was talking about, and I actually thought it was a good point. I think he said it on
Joe's podcast. Yeah.
But he's like, something that he hopes the metaverse fixes is that ability to feel connected while being virtual.
Yeah.
It's tough
Because
to do.
you can't make eye contact on Zoom, for example.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at the screen and you're looking at their eyes. And
I don't know
they're not
why
looking
they
at
haven't solved that sooner.
Well, it's because it's the way the cameras are and all that, and it's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I look in your eyes, I'm actually looking into a camera.
And so
like,
impersonal.
and so like I'll never be and so it's like they're talking to you, but they're kind of not. And if someone's camera's off, they're not in the meeting. Like it's really bizarre. So I was just curious about that because I think we do see that. I just don't know how much it actually affects people.
That's an interesting topic because I had somebody recently talking about like preschool children who are going into their first year of preschool after like COVID's finally calming down and stuff, the past 2-3 years, where, these toddlers haven't been able to interact at all.
Yeah.
And it's like somebody brought up, it's like a generation of antisocial children because they literally couldn't socialize. And I think that's so interesting and also very sad and kind of scary because now it's like, what's going to happen? Like, how are they going to adjust, Like, what is that going to look like in 10, 20 years? Those are things that we just don't know. Like, the importance of small children, like, even going to, like, a daycare or something, if they didn't have that.
Yeah, I think there's tremendous growth being with your peers. And
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, their parents are just going to have to pick up the pace. And they're just going to have to work really hard. That's fixable, thank God, at a young age, but I think of like a 20-year-old who went from 20 to 22 just in a basement mining Bitcoin and doing customer service for Amazon or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then he orders food to come in and he just doesn't, like, I would have low expectations of his ability to handle anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't know what it means. He doesn't know what it's like to have someone be mad at him with angry eyes. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I wonder if that's actually a bigger problem than we think.
Yeah, there's this podcast episode. It's not even a real podcast. It's a recorded Discord call between some popular streamers and Andrew Tate before he got banned off the internet.
Yes.
And he, he's got this tough guy persona. And there's a streamer who, 3 of them were on there talking to him. And at one point they were kind of being rude, as they are with people that they are friends with or don't like. They're just they'll make fun of you, kind of call you names or pick on you or something like that. And Andrew Tate had said something like, "This is such a weird experience for me because you would never talk to me like this in person." And one of them was like, I absolutely would. And he's like, you absolutely would not. And to be honest with you, I believe him. Because he's, as much of a tough guy and jerk as he is a professional kickboxer.
Oh, he's an
extremely
animal.
fit. He can
Yeah.
fight really well. He's wealthy. You probably wouldn't talk to him like that in person. If you did, and you kept insinuating that, you know, you could fight him or win in a fight with him, he would say, let's go to the ring then. Let's put our gear on and spar. And you put your money where your mouth is real quickly.
Yeah, I think as soon as a real presence of a threat is
Physical
there,
threat, right.
Yeah, physical threat, people typically change.
It's not even that it's a threat, it's just the
the
potential.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's an existence of it.
Yeah.
So that was very interesting. And I think he's probably right. But I think they weren't aware.
Yeah.
They had no
Yeah.
idea that they're like, oh, no, I'm the same now, today, and tomorrow, and I don't change. No. I mean, watch you be out in the street and someone crazy comes up to you. You're not a tough guy.
Right.
And you probably shouldn't be.
Right.
I mean, like, you should. It's not unmanly to run away from a crazy dude. Like, Jocko was just talking about this, actually. He's an incredible fighter. He's a Navy SEAL.
Kill you. Yeah.
He's like, people who are crazy in the street, he's like, I'll run away from you.
Yeah.
He's like, what am I risking, getting hurt or stabbed? But anyway, so it's the same
He's
idea
a man
of...
he's a man who understands risk.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But online, keyboard warriors,
There's no risk.
yeah. And there's also no punishment,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? So you can say whatever you want, you get your account banned, you make a new one.
Exactly.
Fake name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy right now. I feel like ever since Elon Musk was like, there's a lot of bots on Twitter. Until he said that, I wasn't even aware. But I get at least weekly a message from a bot who's saying, hey, buy into this crypto thing,
Oh yeah.
but you have to go follow this other account. And so it's the main account is not getting banned because they're not breaking the rules. Because they're using fake accounts to do all their,
promote it.
dirty work.
Oh wow.
So if you report the throwaway account, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
You can't report the main account because they haven't broken any. You can't prove it. All they're gonna say is, "Why are you tagging me in this? Like I have nothing to do with that."
Right.
Right.
Now a smart person would say, 100 accounts are saying to refer to. Like, come on, either you're being targeted or you're behind this, and so, it's still hard. You can't ban the original account though.
Right.
So it's very interesting. Ban evading. It's called.
The loopholes for people that like spam stuff on social medias and stuff, it drives me nuts. Like on YouTube, you'll see videos of like fake Mr. Beast accounts being like, "Oh, click here for $750."
Oh, anytime Elon
I report
makes
him
like
right
a tweet
away.
or whatever,
How dare you?
like literally all you see, because people will just follow his account and they'll mime his account.
Yep.
And then they just go, yeah, I'm giving away a bunch of Bitcoin or whatever. And I'm like, who's falling for that?
Yeah.
It's
Elon's
so
not
bad.
giving money away.
Yeah.
Ever.
At least not in that manner.
No.
No shot.
Nobody's doing that in that
Yeah.
manner. No.
I wonder how Tesla's Bitcoin holdings are doing. I think they're down. I wouldn't know. I don't know when they bought.
Yeah, I don't know either. I think they had like an average purchase price of like 30,000.
But I mean, at one point he was up over $1 billion, I think, at one point.
Yeah.
And I think-
Bitcoin's at what, 23,000 a coin or something?
Yeah, something like that.
It's not great. By this time of the year, we're supposed to be 100,000 a coin, according to all them.
Isn't historically like Christmas does really well for Bitcoin, or is it January?
I don't know, man. The people who are in love with it are supposed to be at $1 million a coin.
Oh
by
yeah,
now.
whatever.
Like I've seen some wealthy and smart people
Yeah.
be like, by December of last year, it's supposed to be at 100K.
Yeah, it's
And
what's the
Ethereum
word?
was supposed to be at 20,000 a coin.
Unsubstantiated. It's like there's
We had
just nothing.
we had
I
some
don't
friends
see-
who are in network marketing companies who are like bought into Ethereum, and they caught it from 2,000 to 5,000,
Yeah,
and they were on top of the world. When Ethereum's like hit 1,800
yeah,
again. I'm like, you're down now, and but they're like, I want to ride this to the moon,
Ride it.
you know?
Sure.
Stuff like that makes me so nervous. I'm not patient enough to sit there and like watch something go up and down and just like.
See, my crypto's up, but I buy like $20 a week of like 8 different coins. It's like $20 a week or something.
I added like, because my stock portfolio is down like 20% all time,
Yeah.
and the market's down 33% year to date. So I took the account size that I had and dumped in like another 15-20% of my account worth today. Because I'm like, if this isn't the bottom, it's close.
Yeah. Did you see what I said to you today?
Yeah.
The Buffett indicator. I'm if I remember correctly, I was definitely over 100%, but the Buffett indicator shows today that the stock market is like it was over 100%. I want to say it was like 150% overvalued still.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, we are.
S&P Goldman came out and said last year they said the S&P was supposed to be like well over 4,000. It's at 3,600 today, and I think they said they changed it. They go, oh, by December it'll actually be 3,500, so it's gonna go down.
Yeah.
That's what they're predicting.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, things are going on sale. I was at Pepperdine today, and Dr. Park, he's done some like incredible work. He's worked in London. He advised massive companies over there. I mean, he's just a finance whiz. He's just like incredible. And he was saying his prediction, the best time to buy a house will be 2 to 3 years from now. He goes,
I agree.
he said interest rates and home prices will both come down in 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, so the problem is that's where we were at 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's just going to create another feeding frenzy.
Yeah.
I don't think so because, I mean,
You know what I think the difference is going to be, though? It won't be as bad.
The reason it won't is because people won't have. The reason there was a frenzy is because people had equity.
And they had incentive to move.
Yeah.
There was a report on this, so not my idea. I also can't cite my sources, but the people who benefited most from remote work were like tech, middle class and up. They all moved.
Yeah.
They like left
Like Tennessee.
San Fran, they left New York, went and bought homes.
Right.
People in California moved to Austin.
Yeah.
You know? So in 2 to 3 years, I think we're going to see a really healthy home market. And most people aren't incentivized to move again, but the average person sells their house every 6 years.
Right.
Okay?
Wow.
In 3 years, that'll be the 5 and 6 year mark.
Yeah. Right.
So all the people who locked in dirt cheap money will probably be in a position where they need to move again. So we're going to see more inventory and more buyers come on, onto the market. So it'll be an interesting time. I think I'd love to see the interest rates get back to the 3 to 4 range. I think that's fair. I think that's a healthy market. And I would like to never, not for another decade and a half, see like double-digit growth, because I want things to stabilize and normalize out. And then once things calm down, like I'm so happy to like ride the storm. Like right now, if what is said is true, which is buy fear and sell greed, what should you be doing right now?
Buying.
Yeah, you should be buying. But the problem is, this is really weird time.
Much greed.
There's still, exactly. Yeah. So you know what's wild? Redfin came out and said, home prices are not falling like we thought they would be. Interest rates are still going up. We're actually seeing more demand. It's like, and they said it's an awkward time to be buying a house because the market's, the sky is falling.
Yeah.
It's like a really interesting, awkward time.
That's a good point because he was saying, he's like, like non-coastal markets will probably get hit first. Yeah. Like non-coastal hypermarkets. He named off a couple and he goes, Phoenix, he goes, these are all like essentially crashing right now. And he says crashing and he means like pricing is coming down. And he said that and I go, Phoenix is not moving.
Well, we've
lost like 2% value.
Phoenix is different than it was in 2008. In '08, we didn't have infrastructure. We didn't have employment.
Yeah, that was what I thought was really valuable. Is he's looking at it from a real estate thing. I'm like, we've had like $30 billion worth of chip manufacturer investment in this state in the last 2 years.
We have really high-paying jobs now. We're actually like a hub for
Yeah.
high-paying employment. Zillow headquartered here. Open Door headquartered
Right.
here.
Intel has a $20 billion investment. TSMC another $12 billion.
Nike's coming to Peoria or Glendale. Like,
Oh, they stopped that, which sucks.
there's
That does suck.
a huge food manufacturer just bought like 100 acres of land.
Yeah,
They're building a warehouse here.
yeah,
Wow.
And so our economy will suffer like everyone else's. But in '08, we got hit like Vegas did really hard. It took us years to recover because we had no reason for people to move here.
right.
It's different now. Like
Yeah.
Phoenix still doesn't have culture. Like when you think Phoenix, you don't think history. You know,
Sure.
we don't like New York. You're like, oh, okay, it's where do you get bagels? You go to New York. Where do you get good pizza? You go to New York. You know, where do you get fish tacos? San Diego. You think Phoenix? No food comes to mind. No culture comes to mind. We're not known for our music. We're not known for talent. If you think like the music industry, that's
Nashville.
Nashville.
Or something, or,
if you think movies, you think Hollywood. If you think tech, you think San Francisco. You think Seattle. So Phoenix has none of that.
yeah.
And so what drove people here for a long time was affordability, literally home affordability. So we had a lot of people who were like older or looking to start a business who came here. That's all kind of changed. So like we have good paying jobs. It's starting to increase. We have a lot of land. So what first shifted the landscape in Phoenix, people started building year-round call centers here. So like Global Lending had their collections department here. Take Global Lending and copy and paste that 100 times. So like year-round cheap labor because housing was cheap and decent workers. And then, they created an economy. Well, now they all need doctors and vets and supermarkets and auto shops, and that comes in and creates that. Now you have a healthy economy, and there's like all this office space, and what you start seeing is really high-paying companies who are like have real estate strategy managers. They'll go, why are we paying $15 a square foot when we can get the same building for $8 a square foot in Phoenix? Okay, what would it cost us to move? $3 million. Well, how long of a lease are we going to sign? Will that make us money? Okay, if we sign a 10-year triple net lease, over the 10 years we're actually going to save millions.
Right.
So let's move to Phoenix, and that's what shifted. It's really wild to see what happened, and now Phoenix, I think, has weathered this storm really well. We're absolutely going to see home prices somewhat decline, but Phoenix is getting more people moving in than out drastically.
Yeah, for sure.
So our home prices, we're not incentivized. Most homeowners in Arizona are not incentivized to sell. They have cheap mortgages and high-paying jobs. They should be okay.
Right. Yeah. It'll be interesting to watch. There's a bunch of like geopolitical stuff going on too that he like informed us about, stuff that I just
Didn't think about?
yeah, just like the Russian-Ukraine thing, still like a big issue over there.
Oh, yeah.
Ukraine and Russia account for 1/3 of the world's wheat.
Wheat?
Wheat. 1/3 of the world's wheat
Wow.
comes from both those countries, and they have not been sowing
Mm-hmm.
for 2022, which means the harvest will be essentially nothing in
Yeah.
2023.
Wow.
And so there will be some type of shortage. Also, Russian gas heats most of Europe, and he thinks Putin wants to make the world feel a winter without Russian gas, so that they go, okay, we'll take you back into the EU or whatever he was kicked out of. I don't even remember.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I was like, oh, that's ballsy.
That is.
Yeah. So it'll just be interesting.
Have
to
you
see
seen the gas or energy costs in Europe?
as of late?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've skyrocketed.
Like on a chart?
No, I haven't.
It's like, I could be wrong, it's like 6 or 7x.
Yeah, because they're not getting any Russian gas.
It's wild.
It is insane.
It's
So
not
That's
affordable.
horrible.
So here's what's crazy is
Winter is coming.
because of that, the dollar is really strong right now. So he zoomed in from Greece because he's on some like trip, right?
Who?
My
Oh,
professor.
yeah. I thought you meant Putin.
No. And so he was telling us this. He goes, yeah, I'm literally in Greece, and he goes, and you can feel it. He goes, the dollar is strong. Things are cheap here. He's in Greece.
Well, Greece, then they just have their economy blow
But
up.
he had to travel through there, right? Like, he had to travel to, like, all these other countries, and he was just like, this man has lived almost half his life outside of the U.S.
Didn't Greece's economy blow up like 8-10 years ago?
Yeah, he said we're not far behind.
Us?
Yes.
What does that mean?
So he showed...
We're not going to have a collapse the way Greece did.
we're doing the exact same things that Greece did.
Yeah, but Greece isn't... What is Greece's GDP compared to ours?
So I have no idea. I'm
You
sure.
know?
I have no idea.
I'm not saying we're too big to fail, but anyway.
Well, what we just saw last year is GDP fell for the first time.
Mm.
This year, I think it is actually, while debt increased. That has not happened in like decades in America.
Yeah.
So that is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
GDP fell. And he was going over this concept of...
That's just like normal recession stuff. That's not doomsday.
No, it is not. It didn't happen in 2008.
After 2008, what happened? So GDP fell, but debt stopped.
GDP followed debt. They both went up.
Gotcha. And then they both fell.
Yeah. But right now, debt is going up and GDP fell.
What debt is going up? Is it like consumer debt?
U.S. national debt.
So like credit
National
cards?
debt.
Or the country's debt?
The country's debt, yeah.
Okay, I gotcha.
And so what you're seeing in Greece, so here was the chart. This will blow your mind. I didn't ask this question because I was exhausted, but I wanted to ask, who are we paying this debt to? And I think it's the Federal Reserve. Pretty sure.
Yes.
Pretty sure that's how that works.
Yes.
Right now, America spends 10% of its income paying interest. 10% of its income
Okay.
paying interest. The projections at 2052 is 40% of our income will go to interest.
40.
40% of our income will go to paying interest.
If we don't pay the debt down,
Correct.
it begins to compound.
See,
Right.
something that I thought about like a couple years ago is I'm like, why doesn't a president come in and say like, I'm gonna make a plan to get our country out of debt or more out of debt, less in debt, and people said like, oh, it doesn't matter, blah blah blah. I don't know. I feel like that's important.
Yeah.
You can't just keep digging a hole.
Well, this is one of the reasons that Trump did the things he did towards the end of his presidency. Is the last thing he wanted was an economic chip in his presidency. So he did everything he could to put it on stilts, I think at least. That way when he handed it over to Joe, and also just the pandemic, that was just so unfair, but it happened, right?
Yeah.
But that's kind of what's happening. So, in my opinion,
We saw a pretty healthy economy still,
Yeah,
even in
I agree.
the pandemic.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that having a 4-year term doesn't do well for you, if you want the next term, is you taking the bite for the next 15 years when you're only going to be able, at best, to see 8 of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, because what this needs, realistically, this happens a situation like a dictatorship, where it's like, oh, I'm in power for the rest of my life. We got to get this debt under control. We have to, because you're not worried about getting reelected, and so it's
Right.
and I would never say I want a dictatorship,
Yeah.
but that's typically how those are handled best. Is when you
That
have
makes
someone who's in
sense.
it for the long haul.
They make
Because
more long-term goals.
you will never have a politician be like, I really care about the country in 2052 because
Right.
they're 70 years old and they're dying in 7 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
what you're seeing is today, our government is borrowing money today to pay last year's interest or this year's interest. That's what we're seeing.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it's and that's what happened to Greece. So Greece started selling its national parks and its ports. It was selling its country
Mm-hmm.
so it could make the payments, so it could start tackling this debt. and they started doing stuff like, let's say you had $10,000 in your bank account, right? Federal notes are just that, federal notes. You don't own any money.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how quickly it happened. They went, yeah, you can't withdraw more than X amount. Also, you now have $5,000. And that's just the reality of it. And that's kind of how, and it sounds horrible, and it is, but it's like when you need a national reset, that's what you do.
Why not just a default? Russia's defaulted on their debt because they can't pay it back because their bank accounts are frozen by the U.S.
So the reason you don't default, so the reason that Russia didn't default.
They did, though. They were defaulting.
No, they almost defaulted.
What happened? Do you know how they got saved?
Yeah,
Because the U.S. stopped them from literally getting money in bank accounts.
I know.
We prevented them.
Yeah, the goal was to make them default because I believe we were pressuring them so that, because if you hurt banks, they'll never lend to you again, country or not.
Gotcha.
Right, and so the pressure was like, oh well, let's make Russia default, and then they'll have less access to credit. Well, they just sold a bunch of oil illegally
To China.
So yeah, whoever the heck they wanted, right?
Iran.
I think Shell even bought some of their oil.
They did, actually.
Yes.
Legally.
To be honest with you, I'm here for it. Want to know why? Because they sold it to me. What do I care?
There's no way Shell bought that illegally. There had to have been my foot could go in my mouth here. I imagine it was like, hey, by this date you can't buy. This is when the restriction begins.
Yeah.
And then before that time, they're like, let's buy as much as we can. They're a publicly traded company. You break the law like that with a company who's going to war, you're going to prison. So all they got was bad optics. And then we forgot about it, so it doesn't matter.
Think, this is way...
There's no way it was bought
here.
illegally.
This is like way not true, but I'm sure it was like a handful of politicians like, oh, we'll buy that. Shell, buy it. I'm sure that's what happened.
Just within a time frame that worked, or the window of opportunity.
Yeah. Hey, you buy it. I'll make sure you don't go to prison. I want 15%, whatever it is.
You know, there's this guy named Andrew Bustamante, who's like a CIA ex-spy. And he said something about, so like China is watching Russia do this. And it's really comical to see how China responds on a public level, where they like made this agreement with Russia, and then like 2 weeks later Russia invades Ukraine, and China goes, we had no idea they were going to do that. Okay, let's pretend we believe you. China is watching, you know, the tension between China and Taiwan?
I don't know.
China has literally said basically that Taiwan is not a country. Taiwan is Chinese.
Oh yeah, Andrew Schultz had a Taiwanese girl at his show.
Yeah.
And he does crowd work, and he'll be like, what are you? And he was like, what are you? He's like, are you Chinese? And she goes, no, Taiwanese. And he goes, oh, so almost Chinese.
Yeah.
I saw that, okay.
Chinese real soon.
So China is basically, aggressively with military, like, controlling Taiwan. And no one can really do it. It sucks because you can't really do much about it. And so Russia has, over the last few years, invaded Ukraine multiple times and gotten away with it so far. Right? No other country has intervened. We've finally sent the care package, which, by the way, is owed its debt to Ukraine. We're going to make money on that care package.
Oh, like they're paying interest on what we
Absolutely.
Give? Oh, okay.
You know that money that everyone's complaining we gave to Ukraine? Like $20 billion?
Mm-hmm.
That's a loan. That's not a gift. We're not in the business of giving gifts. Not as a government. Yeah. So they'll owe that to us for the next 50 years, but whatever. They won't be paying on it for a long time.
They'll be like, oh, we'll let you put a base here or something. That's how they'll pay us back.
Yeah, and also money.
Well, sure. Yeah.
They own... The Ukraine supplies 70% of the world's neon, which is a ingredient that's needed to create the lasers that creates microchips.
Wheat and neon, like this country's got to be wealthy. Is Ukraine not wealthy?
Well, that's why Russia wants it back.
Oh, okay.
Because it's extremely valuable.
I feel like that country is fairly poor.
Well, they had some serious scandals going on at the government level.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
But, yeah, so China is watching how the world's responding to Russia invading the Ukraine, which mostly they're getting away with it, right? And this guy says that the next election they're going to use as like cover, and they're going to invade Taiwan by the next election. He thinks a full-blown invasion.
I think that's possible, but here's why I don't think it's. Here's why I think China's more afraid, because China does more trade with us than Russia does, and we could help.
Yeah, but imagine
cripple-
if Russia took over Ukraine and took over Kiev in 72 hours. Like, they come in, they take it over, and they're like, okay, everyone calm down. We own the Ukraine. It's ours now. It's now Russia. Let's negotiate. But we have leverage now. And we're sorry. Forgive us. You know, what do you want? Russia and America's like, give Ukraine back. No. Something else. You know? So China, who, I think Putin vastly underestimated the Ukraine, because we're now months in, 4 months in, 3 months in, and he still hasn't taken over the country, and I don't think that's his plan anymore. Anyway, I think he got what he wanted, which is piecing it out. But China, if they come in and they go, if they're like Germany versus Poland in World War II, Germany took over Poland in like 2.5 days.
Yeah, but I don't think you're understanding what I'm saying. Like, we do more trade with China. Like,
Yeah, but if they're quick is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know, but then it's like immediately we stop doing trade, like immediately, and their stock market tumbles the next day.
Yeah, but the Chinese government has been known to just fake the power of their money. Like, they alter it.
Yeah, but they've been doing it so long. I don't know that they could. I mean, when it actually hits the fan and they need liquidity,
Sure.
they don't have it, and the value is gone.
Yeah, but up until like, I don't know, 2 decades ago, was it? Maybe the 90s, early 2000s, China was a closed economy. If they needed to, they could just hole back up and they're fine. They don't
I don't know, bro.
they don't need us.
I think they do. Like, that's what Dr. Park was saying today too. He goes, yeah, China's not in a good place right now.
They have the manufacturing
And he's
to
Chinese,
live.
so.
Is he?
Yes.
So he would know.
They have the manufacturing, I think, to live alone. They have the farmland to live
Who are they
alone
gonna manufacture for?
themselves. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but that, like,
They're already socialist, man. They just will feed their own people and take care of each
that's
other.
like saying we could become a closed economy.
We can't, though. We don't have the manufacturing.
Oh, we could easily.
It would take us like 15 years to transition. China's already there.
And why don't we do that?
It's better for our economy to have, it's better for the world to have an open economy.
I think you're giving a lot of credit to China where it's not due. They are on stilts just like we have been.
Look how fast they started.
They built 7 ghost cities the size of like LA
Yeah,
with nobody in them.
sure, but
Like, they did that on Lent.
look at how they
money.
responded to a true emergency like the pandemic. Got it under control. They were the first country back with no masks. They've been living normal for like 18 months already. Just this calendar year, we stopped wearing masks on airplanes.
Yeah, that's why socialism's
I
effective
mean,
sometimes.
You gotta give them credit. They mobilize and they work.
Totally, I agree with that.
If there's one thing they are, it's organized and efficient, man.
Yeah, but they're not impenetrable to economic downfall. That's what I'm
Totally.
saying.
I just think that they could weather the storm better than most because they are very good at being independent.
Yeah,
They have a crazy
China-
little brother too.
China also has very good control of the people in their country.
for sure.
Well, and the
Yes.
people would
So-
respect the Chinese government.
Right. Whereas here in America, it was like, wear a mask. There's like Karens in the stores.
For sure.
Call the cops. Where is this a federal law?
We're very individualistic here.
Yeah.
In China and a lot of other countries are familial. There's this idea of sticking together. It's very nationalistic almost. I mean,
National Socialist.
if you meet, so watch this. If you meet an expat living in France, and you say like, "Oh, like what are you?" They're probably gonna say, "Well, I'm like a French citizen now, but I used to live in America," but they generally don't say, "Oh, I'm American."
Yeah.
anywhere in the world you go, you meet a Chinese person, the odds of them saying I'm Chinese is like 90%. It's just the way it is. They love their country. They believe that they are Chinese in another country. Americans are like, they'll cut ties. They don't care. Where are you from? I'm from me. I'm from Texas. Like, I'm just who I am. I'm very individual. There's less patriotism than we like to admit on an individual level, except for the 4th of July and any other day with fireworks.
Yeah, I think America has kind of become like a bit of a meme when it comes to like being patriotic and stuff, because it's like hot dogs and fireworks and drink some beers. You know, America, like we don't have any real like culture in America. I feel
we're
like.
young.
No, I can tell you our culture. I follow this page. It's called People Incorrectly Correcting Other People.
Wow.
They have some of the funniest stuff. And my favorite thing to see is when Americans will either spell check or correct something that is just different in another country.
Yeah.
For example, the word honor has no U in it in America.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a U in it in like every other English-speaking country.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
British English.
Yeah, right. And so, I mean, it's just like constant. Just like color, honor.
Mm-hmm.
Neighborhood.
All this stuff. And it's not even just spellings. Sometimes it's like concepts or whatever. And I'm like, that is just too fun. We are just like, no, this is how you do it. Or
Yeah.
like someone was selling a car and he was like, it was like, 250,000 kms or whatever, kilometers.
Yeah.
And he said
Wait,
something.
250,000 what?
Kilometers? I don't know. He was trying to say how many miles are on the vehicle.
Oh,
right?
oh. Yes, the odometer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the guy literally thought he was like, why are you selling that for $250,000? Because he just saw K.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, it was absolutely hilarious. And I was like, but yeah, that's our culture, is nothing happens outside of America.
Yeah, that's so true. It is actually so true. Like, we went to Mexico, and that was like a culture shock for me.
Right.
Even though, like,
They're Americanized a little bit.
Yeah, we were
Right.
in Rocky Point. That's like the tourist spot.
For sure.
And this was enough to make me uncomfortable. I can't even imagine like some other countries where they talk about like they really like prey on tourists. You
Sure.
have to be careful. They're gonna do. I don't pay attention
It's
to
gonna
anything.
get worse now.
I'm not-
Like when we go to those countries in November, like the dollar is strong, so like they know any dollar they can get from us is like it's more valuable than it has been like in the last 3-4 years.
Wow.
The euro is dollar for dollar. It's on par.
Really?
The euro right now. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Even the British pound is like 1.1.
Okay.
It's
Wow.
close. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Just this time last year, the pound was really strong compared to
Yeah.
us.
Really strong.
Wasn't it like? It was like $1.50 or something.
Mm-hmm. I think
That's
it
like
maxed at
ours.
160.
It's dipping below 1.15 right now.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, that was this
Good
morning.
Good
but
time to go to England. Well, it is 8:45. We can call it if we'd like.
We'd like to thank our sponsors, the Lord Jesus Christ.
And his Father God,
It's true.
our Father.
Awesome. Deborah, thank you so much for coming on the show. We
Yeah,
appreciate you.
what's your
having
YouTube
me.
channel?
It is Queen Surge.
Sick.
Sweet. Well, yeah, awesome. Thank you for coming on the show. We appreciate you. Thanks for being our first guest. We hope
Thank
you
you
enjoyed
for
it, and we'll
having me.
see you on the show again sometime soon.
Yep. Thanks.
See ya.